Bonjour mes amis. Welcome my friends. I'm Dustin. Thanks for joining me on the channel today. I have a couple of more jobs to share with you this time. The focus of this channel is to help those of you who fix things and do things and build things. Maybe as a business, maybe you're a handyman like I am. Maybe you do it around the house or just on the side. But I hope that I can give you some encouragement, give you some ideas and some tips. Alright, let's get into these jobs. So the ancient attic fan job took place at a nearby town here in South Louisiana. This was a nice older house. It used to be owned by a local doctor, and the current family is keeping it up well. So they wanted the fan operational again to blow hot air out of the attic. And my sister and her husband have an electrical service company, so they sent one of their guys there. He took the belt off and the motor turned. So he thought it was a mechanical issue, so they gave the job to me. Well, I replaced the belt and the bearings, and it still didn't turn. Now this was a difficult job. This was in July. It was very hot. I was leaning over this attic opening, going up and down. It was tough. Well, it still didn't turn even with new bearings and a new belt. I don't know enough about motors to know exactly what was bad on the old one. Maybe the windings were worn out or the bearings were bad, but I found a comparable motor and it had a same size shaft, so I was able to replace the motor and get their attic fan working again. You can see there were a lot of differences in the two motors, and I couldn't read anything on the data plate of the old one, but I was able to figure it out and get it mounted. I also needed to know how to change the wiring so that it could spin in either direction, just in case the original way it was wired was not the way the fan needed to blow. And sure enough, I did need to swap the wires at the circuit board behind the wiring cover, and I got the motor to spin in the direction that it needed to. And it ended up being okay. Did not charge enough, but I had no idea it would take so long. Looking back on it now, I would just put a modern electric motor with the fan blade on it up there. I would not have used the big old framing and belt and all of that stuff. I think they would have gotten sufficient circulation with maybe a large end but modern attic fan. Alright, so next job, a buddy of mine owns a music school and he has a recording studio in there, and they had a water leak. It made some tiles wet in the corner of the ceiling, so I could see where water was coming in. The insulation was a little bit wet up there. Well, the tiles he had in a box, he didn't realize they were plastic tiles. So I had to change all the tiles in the whole room. And you can see that there are lights and vents, and it's a small room, so a lot of the tiles had to be cut around the edges. So I just took my time and made myself a little template with a scrap strip and just started marking and measuring and cutting until I got all the tiles in the room changed out. These plastic tiles score fairly easily, and once you bend them or karate chop them, it's pretty easy to get a good clean break. Sometimes it's tough dealing with ceiling tiles in a suspended ceiling. The suspension wires can get in the way, and sometimes tiles just aren't exactly straight, or the grid isn't exactly straight, and it can be tough to finagle them up there. But at least it's indoors, and it's not any heavy lifting when you're working with tile like that. Sometimes it can be a little itchy. You might get insulation or mouse turds falling down on you. But this job wasn't too bad. except this tile right here. This took me a while. And as I was working on the tile, I realized there was a reason the roof leaked, of course. So I knew I had to go up on the roof, and in the back of the building it was about 11 feet off the ground. So I used my ladder and got up there, and I saw that the gutter was just completely clogged with debris. You can see all these trees from the overhead picture. And so I cleaned out their portion of the gutter. Then I walked halfway up and found the area that seemed to be where the leak was happening, and I could sort of see a few screws were loose, and so I took off several roofing screws and sealed under that sheet of tin and under the screws with some clear silicone and tightened it all back up. Now the rain can flow off and go in the gutter like it's supposed to, instead of hanging out on the roof and finding cracks to go into. And it's been a year. It's been more than a year. And I checked in with them a couple of times, and they said it doesn't appear to be leaking anymore, so I'm really glad about that. So that job was pretty smooth, and I made some okay money doing that. Well, hopefully these 2 jobs can give you some ideas on what you might want to do or not do as a handyman. The ceiling job wasn't too bad. I'm glad I got to fix the leak and replace all the tiles in that room. Wasn't too bad at all, and they are good customers of mine, and they constantly give me small to medium sized jobs, and I really appreciate that. So hey, hopefully this helps some of you guys. Get out there and keep fixing stuff. I'll see y'all on the next one.